Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and the all-new 2025 Toyota Camry comes with two 12.3-inch screens here in its top-level XSE and XLE trims. And today we're going to show you how they work, how all the various buttons work in the car, and what you might need to know about them, how to pair up a phone, use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and hopefully help you understand your car a little bit better. Now, if you do want to see more on the new Camry, check the link below. We've got a full review, we've got a fuel economy test, and a dedicated breakdown of the JBL sound system. And most importantly, I highly recommend you spend time static, parked with your car, and play around with it. Learn the screens, learn the buttons, get comfortable with it. It'll help you enjoy the car that much more. And before we dive in here, I want to show you a phone cable that's going to come in handy if you travel at all. It's the MagTame magnetic phone cable. You can see I have it plugged into the USB-C port right here. This is the flat version. I recently picked one of these up, and I like this one because it is even easier than the round one I used to have for coiling up, and it's magnetic. So it stays like this. I can toss it in my bag. I can have it in the center console. Stays magneted up like this. And even if a car has wireless charging like this, without a wireless charger cooler, your phone's going to get really, really hot. So on longer trips, I still find myself plugging the phone in, or if I need a lot of juice quickly, and then when I'm using the phone projection, I've got a way to charge it up. I highly recommend you pick one of these up. You can save yourself some cash and support the channel by clicking the link below, getting yourself a MagTame cable. They also make for great gifts. So around Christmas time, I'm getting people some magnetic phone cables. First things first, starting off in front of us here, we've got a steering wheel with many physical controls. I commend Toyota for sticking with physical controls on the steering wheel. A lot of brands go to cheap haptic controls that are not as satisfying to use. Over on the left, you've got a directional pad. This is going to operate your center screen. We'll see that a little bit more in a moment. You also have a phone button, which can either bring you to phone screens, which looks like it's bringing up our Android Auto phone screen right there. And you can also use that for answering calls if you've got a call coming in. You've got a volume rocker down there, and then you've got a voice command. You can click that once for Toyota's voice control, or hold it down to get your Siri or Google Assistant. We'll see that more later on in the video as well. Over on the right side, you've got your cruise control functionality, your start and resume, and your lane keeping, your distance control. Down here, you've got track selection, forward and back, and then mode to select what sort of audio input you're using. You've got some paddle shifters on the back in this XSE model. Over on the left, you've got a button for automatic high beams, traction control to feet, the adjustment for the brightness for your digital gauge screen up here, a camera view button to bring up the 360 camera, a trunk release button, and a fuel door release button. Making our way into this center screen, we're seeing 12.3 inches of digital goodness. Now, the way Toyota sets the screen up is you have a customizable display in the middle and then two customizable displays on the right and left. And first off, I owe Toyota an apology, and any of you who've watched my previous reviews and how-tos on the system, because I didn't realize that you can further customize the right and left screen. I had a complaint that you were limited on what information was displayed up there, but I'll show you here in a moment. You can further customize that. As you're looking at it, you're going to see temperature up on the top left, time up on the top right, a big analog-style speedometer flanking the middle of the screen with a digital speedometer within it, your gear selection, cruise control selection, and then your customizable screen. In order to control that screen, you use this directional pad. I'll show you that here in a moment. Bottom left, you've got engine coolant temp and your odometer or trip meter, I believe. Somewhere, do we have a button for trip change? We should. Maybe not in this car. Okay. So it looks like that's always... Toyotas almost always have a trip button. Maybe I am tripping as to where it is. But you've got your odometer down there, and then on the bottom right, you have your parking brake indicator and a fuel gauge with a distance to empty. In order to change what you see on the screen, you're going to hold OK, and then you can cycle through these individual screens in the middle. You got driving support, blank, messages, if you have any info messages about your car, and that is it. If you go over to the left, then you can choose various screens to show up on this left screen. Now, if these aren't enough for you, you can press left one more time and then select which displays are even an option to choose. So I don't understand why Toyota doesn't deliver it with all of these selected, so that if you go back to the right, then you can choose between a total of blank, fuel economy, eco score, EV ratio, driving support, navigation, audio, drive info, trip A, trip B, energy monitor, or tire pressure. And then you can do that same thing over on the right screen. My previous complaint was that you couldn't get all the information on one screen that you could on the other, but I failed to realize that I simply had to click over one more time and then enable those screens there. Now, you can customize 3 different general layouts of this entire gauge cluster and then cycle between them using the right and left buttons. So after we've let this time out, I can press right or left, and then I see screen 2 and screen 3. So say, for example, you want more of a sporty layout screen, and then maybe a fuel economy screen, and then I guess this one's a tire pressure screen. You could go between those and get quick toggles. So it does make me a little bit happier with the system knowing you can customize it more thoroughly that way. Lastly, we do have some settings in here. So if we hold down OK again, press up, or down, get to settings, press OK. Then we can turn on or off the head-up display that you may or may not be able to see in front of me. You can also turn on or off your lane departure assist, your blind spot monitoring, your pre-collision system, your parking detection assist, and some of all of the various other safety systems that are on in this car. Then at the bottom we have some vehicle settings. We hold OK to change those settings. You can turn on or off your brake suggestions. So you might find after driving your new Camry for a while that it pops up and recommends that you take a break from driving. If you don't want to get that anymore, you can turn that off. Traffic jam assist, that's going to help you in stop and go traffic. You turn that on or off. DMC recording, I assume this is some sort of driver monitoring right here, the driver monitoring center recording. You can turn that on or off. DRCC, the dynamic radar cruise control. You can adjust how aggressive you want it to be. If you want it to slow down on curves, a lot of nice customization there. You can also adjust how sensitive the beepers are for when you're pulling up to something while you're parking. Yeah, nice to have all this different assistance, but I will say there are a lot of acronyms here. So, for example, I'm not 100% sure what LCA is, lane change assist, I assume, but if you have your owner's manual out, you can further confirm that. Also, if you change your own oil and you want to reset your scheduled maintenance, you'll do that in there. Same with your oil maintenance. This car has a rear seat reminder, so if you might have left something in the back, it'll beep at you or kind of chime when you turn off the vehicle. If you want that off, you can turn that off there. Some more settings for your driver monitoring settings. So if this is on, then if you're not paying attention to the driving situation, it might beep at you or chime. Yeah, so a lot of settings there. And then you can come back and adjust these meter settings as well. Hold and change those. You can change the language here, English, Spanish, and French. The units, the meter type. Okay, so if we want just a digital layout like this, get rid of that analog tachometer, we can do that. Oh, okay, you can really get a lot of information coming up here. Wow, pretty customizable there. Oh, what is this? A traditional style okay, this is what I wanted earlier on in this car. I wanted to be able to see how much I was pressing the throttle and getting into that eco or power. So I'm going to leave that just like that. Oh, wait, it went away. Yeah, oh, okay, I think that's what I want. Meter style. Okay, we've got casual, smart. Ooh, that looks classy. All right, tough. Okay, I guess that looks a little bit tougher. Or sporty. I like the sporty as well. I think I'm going to go with smart, but I think sporty would be my second choice. Okay. Oh, dial type. So we got the hybrid system. Oh, or could have brought up a tachometer right here. You know what? I'm going to bring that up for now. And then when we hop on the highway, I'm going to get a little image of that for Right Lane Hog. He really likes to see what sort of revs we're running on the highway. You can turn your EV indicator on or off when you're driving as an electric vehicle. I like to have that on. For fuel economy, do you want to see the total average or just that trip's average? Hybrid system, do you want eco guidance? Man, there's so many settings in here. Drive info items, do you want average speed or distance for your trip information? And then total time or average speed. Really love this customization here. Pop-up display. You can turn a lot of those on or off. And if this is way too overwhelming, you just want to get back to how the car was delivered, you can turn on or off your default settings. Whew, okay, so a lot to look at there in that center screen, a lot to mess around with. But let's make our way over to the center. Another thing I want to give Toyota kudos for is all these physical controls for climate control. Look at this, we've got our fan speed, the dual zone climate adjust, heated and ventilated seats, all of those controls, very easy to operate. Nice vents there in the center as well. And then down here, way below the shifter, you've got Eco, Normal, and Sport drive modes. An EV mode button, so if you want this to drive as solely an electric vehicle, up to roughly 25 miles per hour, depending on your battery state. And an automatic hold, which maybe somebody in the comments can help me out. In the XSE model, this is a 12.3-inch touchscreen display. I do have a small qualm with its operation. Now, I should say, it is a lot closer than a lot of new vehicles I've been in, especially a lot of the new Hyundais. You have to reach too far forward to touch the screen, so I appreciate that Toyota has moved it decently close. However, one thing they are missing that a lot of vehicles have is a little bar right here with which to rest your finger. And I know it might sound subtle, but in operation, it's much easier to use these touchscreens if you can rest one finger, maybe a thumb or a forefinger or a second finger, and then kind of brace yourself and then move your finger around to tap things around the screen. If you're having to levitate your arm and tap things, especially while you're driving, not being able to stabilize your hand makes it a little more difficult to use this system. However, this screen works the same as pretty much every newer Toyota and Lexus product. It's not the most powerful system on the market, but it does work decently well. There's not exactly a home screen, but you do have sort of a navigation screen as your home. You can see it works decently well, good responsiveness. You can pinch and zoom. It's loosely based off of Google Maps, so I'm getting live Google traffic information. However, I know you do have to pay for it monthly after a certain ownership period. I know there's a trial period for a little while. It's going to change based on which Toyota vehicle you get. But if you are planning on using your built-in navigation regularly, I highly recommend you get comfortable with where all the settings are. We'll go through a little bit more of the settings later on here in the video, but you can change to sort of a north-up, like this, or sort of a tracking, like that. Recenter yourself. And then you've always got this search bar right here that'll bring up the voice command or an ability to type in as well. Moving on down, you get your media screen. This is the ability to bring up your different sources. You can go to radio. You can see what your HD radio is going to look like. You can see what your FM radio is going to look like. It's going to show you all the stations listed out. Same with if you're using Sirius XM. It's got a recommended list, or you can go straight to the different categories. Let's say you want some hip-hop hits from the 2000s, some 50 Cent. Alright, and then you can play and pause and go backward, etc. Moving on down, you've got your phone screen, but if you have a device paired up for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you're not going to see anything here. However, if you're simply using Bluetooth and not using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you'll be able to look at text messages and your favorite contacts, all of your contacts really, make phone calls right from the screen. Continuing down, you get a vehicle screen. You can make adjustments here in the Camry for climate if for some reason these physical controls aren't enough for you. Under comfort, we have the ability to turn on or off the heated steering wheel. Is this the only way to turn on or off the heated steering wheel? Let me see. Yeah, maybe it is. I don't see any other buttons for the heated steering wheel. So, if you thought your Camry came with a heated steering wheel, but you can't find the control for it, fun fact, it's buried in the climate control right here. Huh. Funny. Okay. Trip information. So this will show you how economically you've been driving over the last 15 miles. And this over the last few days. Under vehicle alert, if you did have any vehicle alerts, maybe maintenance necessary or low tire pressure, you would find that in there. Now, making our way down into settings. We're not going to go into every nitty-gritty detail in the settings screen, but I'm going to try to show you some of the more important ones. This first one is a profile screen, and this is very convenient if you own multiple Toyota or Lexus vehicles, or if you've got multiple drivers using this vehicle. For this one, you can set up a profile, and then it's going to save your media presets, your gauge cluster presets, and your climate presets, and maybe your seating presets as well, but maybe not. Do we really not have seat memory here in this Camry? Huh. Interesting. Okay, but you can save that, and then if you've got different drivers in the house, you can pair it up to the key or simply select what profile that you're using, and then the vehicle will customize itself for that individual. Under personal info, this is where you're going to see what Bluetooth devices are connected, and you can actually have face identification. So you can set this up, and I'm not 100% sure what you can do with the face identification. This isn't our personal vehicle, this is Toyota's, and every vehicle of theirs is a little bit different, but I think they're moving to the point where you can simply get in and have it recognize your face and start the vehicle that way. This is also going to be how you link your key to the profile for different drivers. Under Bluetooth and devices, this is going to be how you're going to add a new device. We'll show you that later with our iPhone connection. Under General, we have the ability to turn on or off the screen beep. So we've had it off, but now you can hear every time I tap the screen, it makes this beep. I find it obnoxious, so I turn it off. Screen sensitivity, if you're somebody who likes to make very light, subtle taps, or maybe drive with gloves, you might want to have that sensitivity all the way up. Date and time, you can have it set by the GPS, which is probably your best bet, but if for some reason you want to manually set your date and time, you can do that there, or have a 24-hour clock. Under language and units, you can have it automatically set your units based on where the car is, or you can manually change your units and your language between English, Spanish, and French. Coming back and going under Wi-Fi, this vehicle has an optional Wi-Fi hotspot, so if you want to provide a wireless internet connection to maybe your tablet or your children's devices or a work laptop, you can pay monthly and have a Wi-Fi hotspot in here. And then also you can connect the vehicle to a dedicated Wi-Fi hotspot, say your internet at home, and have it download software updates. Under display, you can turn the display on or off. Say, for example, you're on a long, dark night drive, you want to have the screen off, you can easily do that, and then tap it to turn it back on. Then you also have two different modes. If you turn off automatic here, you have daytime or nighttime. This is going to choose a dark setting for your screen. Some people are going to prefer to have that on all the time. Might be a little easier on your eyes, but if you have automatic, then it'll automatically dim, switch to the dark mode when it's nighttime. You can also adjust the brightness of the screen. You can see this is with it down low, and then all the way up. Same thing under camera, you can adjust a different brightness for your camera screen. Continuing down to sound and media, this is going to be where you change your sound settings and maybe the loudness of the phone ringtone or new message chimes. You can also adjust your front, rear, left, right, fader, and balance, and your treble, mid-range, and bass. Continuing down to navigation, this is going to have a lot of different settings for the navigation. So say, for example, if you want to be shown your home or your work or traffic incidents, you're going to want to choose those. And route options. Say, for example, you don't want to be shown toll roads. If you're using the built-in navigation, you can toggle that on or off there. Under vehicle customize, we have quite a few different options here. Under lights, how sensitive do you want the automatic headlights to be as it starts to get dark outside? Do you want them to come on sooner or later? You can adjust that. How long do you want them to stay on after you've shut off the vehicle? And if for some reason you wanted to turn off your daytime running lamps, you could do that there. Under illumination, this car has a little bit of subtle ambient lighting. You could dial that way back or turn it off if you wanted to. Under door control, do you want the vehicle to automatically lock and unlock when you take it out and in and out of park? You can do that there. Also, when you touch the smart door unlock, do you want it to unlock all the doors or just the driver? And you can also adjust the loudness of the parking beep or the lock beep tone. I like having that ability to adjust there. Coming back into the main settings screen and continuing down to dealer info, you're going to see where this vehicle was purchased and the phone number for your dealer. Under info and security, you can see what the name is for your car, and then you can also turn on a privacy lock. Say, for example, you don't want children or a valet or someone to be able to see private information for your car. You can turn that on and set a PIN. If you're connected to Wi-Fi, you're going to be able to go under software update and see if there's any software updates for this car. And there's not really anything under apps that you need to know, so that is mostly it. Although I did forget to mention under info and security, it's also a system reset option. Now, if you go to sell your Camry, you're going to want to utilize that system reset, clear out all of your personal information. Now let's take a look at the voice commands here for the Camry. Now you can wake it up in a few different ways. You can either press the steering wheel button here, you can press this search icon there, or you can simply use the word, "Hey Toyota." Maybe. "Hey Toyota, what's the weather like tomorrow?"
Here is the weather for Irvine, California on Tuesday, September 17th. Cool. Morning low clouds followed by clouds giving way to some sun.
Our connection must not be super strong right now because it's taking its sweet old time to open up on the center screen, but you can hear it's a pretty comprehensive weather report there. Did the Lions win last weekend?
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you.
What was the score of the Detroit Lions game?
Detroit Lions lost to Tampa Bay Buccaneers 16-20 yesterday.
They sure did, didn't they? Set the driver's temperature to 62 degrees.
Setting the driver's temperature to 62 degrees.
Hey Toyota, navigate to the nearest Starbucks.
The closest Starbucks is Starbucks at 16215 Alton Parkway. Would you like to go now?
Yes.
Calculating route to Starbucks. Proceed to the highlighted route.
So you can see how our navigation would look if we were using that. Hey Toyota, cancel my navigation.
Canceling trip.
It is one of the better navigational and voice command systems on the market. It's a little bit smarter than what you get in some of the other competitors. It's definitely not up there luxury car status, and it does have its issues, but I find it useful. Now let's take a look at phone projection. First, we're going to look at Android Auto. We're already connected wirelessly. You can see Pixel 8 Pro not plugged in. We go up here and see Android Auto taking up the entire screen. We've got the split screen setup, kind of 2/3 for nav, 1/3 for music. Small complaint of mine, there's no way to get back to the normal Toyota system without first going to your apps and then clicking Toyota. I know that seems simple right there, but say for example, I want, I'm already all the way in here, maybe I've got my music going and everything, and I'm like, oh, I want to adjust my audio settings while I'm on the highway. Well, it's 1 click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks, 4 clicks, 5 scroll, 6 click, 7 click, and then I'm to my treble, mid-range, and bass. That's a lot of time that I'm spending interacting with the screen when most vehicles just have a persistent menu or easy way to get back to your main infotainment home screen. But either way, it does look nice. It responds well. Let's bring up Google Maps full screen. You can drag around, pinch and zoom. Very nice there. Look at YouTube Music. Let's hit the Super Mix, see what we're getting today. Some Epica, not a huge surprise there. Now you can see if you've got YouTube Music up, you got the split screen 2-in-1. Go back home and they flip-flop. Take a look at the call screen real fast. There's your dialer and your app screen right there. Now let's bring it back home and I'll show you how to pair up an iPhone. If we grab our trusty iPhone SE, bring it to the home screen and then bring up settings, go to Bluetooth. Then in the car, we're going to go down to the settings screen here, go to Bluetooth and devices, add another device, OK. Search for devices, and we see Charlie's iPhone already right there. Press that, and then we're going to press OK when it comes up on the phone. Pair, I should say, and then OK on the car, allow on the phone. I'm going to use CarPlay and yes for enable CarPlay. And there it is, Apple CarPlay taking up the whole screen, and I was politely pointed out too in another one of these Toyota infotainment screen videos that you can press this button right here and then bring up the little side screen menu. And this is what I'd like to do with Android Auto as well, is the quick ability to cycle through the Toyota screens and the non-Toyota screens here. But if you'd rather have it full screen, then there you go, taking up the whole screen, kind of getting a split setup like the Android Auto. If we click this, we get Google Maps brought up, and you can see moving around like that, but no pinch to zoom with the iPhone for some reason. You can tap to zoom like so. Let's bring up YouTube. Oh, there's your dialer, I should say. Dial in a number. Let's bring up YouTube Music, see what we're getting on the Super Mix from the iPhone. Some delaying, all right. A little bit of heavier music today out of the two phones. Go back home and then you can see your media on the right, navigation on the left, and here's what your app screen looks like. And if you are in this full screen setup and you want to get back to your Toyota screen, you can press the apps and click Toyota right there. So there it is, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, navigation, settings, all the infotainment goodness here in the new Toyota Camry. All things considered, this is a middle-of-the-road setup for me. I appreciate that we've got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Appreciate that the screen's not very far away, but like I said, I would like to have an ability to rest my finger as I'm tapping around the screen, kind of help with that solidarity there. But I do appreciate the ability to customize this gauge cluster now that I know that. If you do have any questions that I didn't get to, let me know in the comments. I'll try to answer you retroactively, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.